Hey, welcome to Glasswerk. I'm here with Canterbury. Hey guys, nice to meet you.
Hello, mate.
How's it going? I just want to introduce us to the camera, that'd be ace.
My name is Luke.
And I am Mike from the band.
From the band Canterbury.
Alright.
Two-fourths of.
The first question I've got for you guys is I'm really interested about the first album you put out. You put it out for free download.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know a bit more about the decision behind that and why you went that way with it. Really.
Well, primarily, I mean, it was a decision out of kind of just wanting to get our music out there. It was our first record, and we recorded it when we were 18 and didn't really know what we were doing. It was still a hobby then. We were still fresh out of school and kind of just like seeing what we could do. We didn't want to write an EP. We didn't want to go out and play shows. We really wanted to write an album, and that was kind of at the forefront of our minds. So when we kind of did that, we found ourselves with this album but with no idea what to do with it, and
Nobody who knew who we were either.
Yeah.
It was like,
we kind of did it in a bit of a backwards way. So after kind of 2 years of just kind of sitting on this record with making a name for ourselves as a band, but still a very small band, we kind of exhausted other options, and there was just loads of things on the plate, but we were just like, and it kind of got a bit frustrating. So we were just like, well, why don't we just leak it? Everyone's leaked albums at the moment, and then we're kind of like, well, we can kind of take the illegal bit out of this, and make no one feel bad and make no one kind of like, what if we just literally just give this album for free? No one needs to pay for it, or you can pay what you want if you want. We kind of set up a website, pay what you want, or just have it literally for free. All we want is your email address, so we can kind of send you other things and stuff like that. And it kind of like, it was a no-brainer for us. We were like, tell me the bad side about this, apart from not making any money, which no one does, especially not small bands now. You could charge people a tenner for it at a show, and people wouldn't buy it because you're a small band which no one's ever heard of before.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, this is just a no-brainer, and it's kind of, for us, it worked out as just being that one thing that kind of kicked everything off for us.
I was going to ask that. Was it a kickstarting moment? Was that the thing?
yeah, because it was right at the kind of time where maybe MySpace was kind of fading, and and the record sales are obviously plummeting, and it wasn't like, here, we need to be clever about this, let's do it for free. It was kind of like Mike says, like, let's leak it, and then actually let's think about it, and then leak and put it out. But it's like using the music as a tool, because there's this argument about how do you put an actual price on a song.
Yeah.
Like, who decided a song was worth 79p?
Yeah.
Someone high up at Apple or whatever.
You only rent them now. You don't even buy them.
Yeah.
Like,
there you go.
On iTunes, that's a rental.
So it's like,
I think someone's sitting through it.
we'll give it for free because it's not worthless, but it's kind of priceless. Use that as a tool, and then hopefully people will buy a T-shirt, or they'll buy the next record. Or
like I said, you're a small band.
So,
you
yeah.
can't expect people to part money for your record, especially not the amount of people that ended up downloading it.
Yeah.
But then
not even half.
we would have
bought
got nowhere near those figures. But then at the same time, we started seeing like, oh, so and so's debut album out for free. I don't think you wouldn't necessarily want to use it as a model for every record you release. And then it wasn't a thought, like music should be free now. It was just kind of like, you know what, let's just get this out there and let people consume it however much they want, rather than regulating it. And it worked.
And
great.
luckily enough, we were able to get like major press involved with it as well. Like, it wasn't treated like some small band kind of just like releasing their album. It was like actually kind of trying to do something a bit different and do something real with this. And we luckily got like printed press reviews for it and articles written about it, which was just amazing. And we were playing like really cool big shows at the time, and it's like, you see so many bands, like little bands on stage, trying to do anything to get these people to go and spend money, or like just to leave thinking about their bands, handing out flyers everywhere. And on stage, we just got to say, you can go home and download our whole album for free if you want. It literally takes no time. Download it, listen to it. If you like it, awesome. Then you have a new band that you like. And if not, nothing's happened. You haven't wasted any money. Just,
I was going to say, from that you got quite a lot of tours, and you've done a lot of tours with a lot of different bands. And I just want to know, do you have any favourite bands that you tour with, like bands that you were just like, that was awesome, like that was the best tour we've done?
Well, wouldn't be able to answer that question without mentioning the guys in New Me at Six. Like, they're obviously a globally massive band now, which is so awesome. But like, they still will always be willing to take their mates out over someone that's willing to spend however much money buying onto their tour, which is, I think, is just like obviously really commendable. And we've done some of the biggest shows we've ever done with those guys, which we literally just just is so thankful to them because they could have taken anyone out, but they were like, they're fans of the band and stuff. So it was like, we kind of want to hear you every night, and we were like, well, thanks very much. We get to play in front of 5,000 people every night instead. But yeah, there's some really cool bands out there. I kind of want to say like the support band. In fact, we had just on the tour we've just done called the La Fontaines from Scotland. It's definitely worth checking out. They're just such good guys, such funny touring companions. Because touring really is like, kind of always say, it's like 90% companionship and 10% what you sound like on stage or whatever. From the band to band point of view, like obviously it's different from when you want to put on a good show and you want to play well and you want to play good music. But touring is so much about the camaraderie and the getting along as a party. So
it's funny you say that because I was speaking to bands more recently. A lot of people tend to like they do one show with someone and then they have to go off and do something else, and they're trying to fit as much as they can into like that short space of time, so they don't have that connection with people anymore that they used to. Like you'll interview bands and they say, "Oh, how's the tour with this person?" And they go, "Well, we didn't really get to hang out with them. We just like when we met up with them at tour dates and did stuff and carried on."
I mean that I guess that can obviously happen. Luckily, I say luckily, kind of in inverted commas, but we're still playing smaller shows where you'll get to the venue and no one will have anything to do for 4 hours. So it's literally like, well, how can we make our own fun now?
And
it usually ends in really great friendships at the end of it. So
that's cool. Are there any of those bands that you kind of look up to and think, I want to be like those guys? Like they're the guys I want to model ourselves on?
There's definitely no we've always kind of prided ourselves in not necessarily taking direct inspiration like that from anyone else. We've kind of not like we've just done our own way and stuff like that. Like I'm sure there's other bands that have done what we've done before, but we kind of just want to make like just honest music that we kind of like and we're into, and it doesn't sound like anyone else's music because the worst thing is when you hear a band which just sounds like another band. But we went on tour with the guys from Twin Atlantic kind of before they were Twin Atlantic. They were called Twin Atlantic, but they weren't Twin Atlantic, and like they're kind of, they seem to have had their success just in such a great organic way. They're obviously signed and they have power behind them and money behind them and stuff like that, but it's not just kind of like, you have a lot of bands cropping up through different avenues, and they've kind of taken bits from it all and just dominated, which is
you can kind of see as well from the size of the success, like that album just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, like like Mike says, in an organic way, rather than being like everybody has to listen to this because this is what we're telling you to listen to, and eventually if we tell you enough you'll buy it. It was more kind of like, actually, like turning heads around the place, and at the same time, like just such good guys still, and that I think that's just one of the most important things about being in this industry and touring and whatever, is just being able to realise the fact that you could not be doing it, and you should be thankful every single day you are doing it. So
there are way too many bands who get big enough not purely because of their music, and I for one, like I said, they have power and stuff behind them, and they have a little base of kind of people working with them. But to me, they're like the one band kind of in the recent present who have got to where they are because of that album that they made. There's nothing else. As kind of, they're not poster boys. They're not plastered on the front of every single magazine, almost forced down your throat like some bands. They have kind of just made a really good rock album. It's not a punk album. It's not a metal album. It's not anything. It's just a good rock album, and that's what we plan to do. It's kind of what we want to do. We don't want to make any sort of type of music apart from just band music, good, organic.
To go down sort of a little more bleak road, you just parted ways with your drummer recently.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about what like that. I mean, not to go into too much.
It's simple really. Like, we've been going as a band now for like a while, like kind of since we finished school now, and he was in the band like all the time, and he like, we had so much fun. There was certainly no like tension or anything. It wasn't like, four best friends. That's quite literally the cliche, but it's quite true. And obviously as you get older and older, and like we've mentioned before, we're not being plied with money, and it's not an easy lifestyle to sustain as you do get older, and maybe some life responsibilities come along. And I mean, at times, like maybe all of us have kind of been like, like if in 6 months' time, like this is kind of going like this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to carry on, just because my life is going to have to take over, and I'm going to have to stop this, what is effectively just a full-time hobby. And that was basically him. It was like, obviously I just love it so much, but I can't, you know, it's the being kind of willing to drop anything for it, like, you know, oh, we got this gig here, so let's practice this night and this night and this night, and like trying to get everyone together when you're not sort of being paid to get to be where you have to be. So I mean, we there was no bad blood there at all, though. It's literally like we were obviously really upset. Like, he was the best mate, and we've travelled around like for years with him, but in no way kind of like bitter. Just like fair play, mate. You know what? Like, it obviously took a lot of, like, I guess, guts to actually turn around and be like, guys, I can't do it anymore. Because it's not like, you know, it's a downward slope or something. The band was failing and like, oh, you need to get out now before it does. It was kind of, you know, it was still on the up. So for him to actually bow out was...
Well, what I mean, like, it presents a side question there is in the fact that, like, do you guys put any serious thought into, like, other moments where you go, is this worth it? Like, I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way.
I mean,
like, it's
not
it's
really.
It's not. You can definitely have moments where you're kind of not necessarily touring and you're just at home and you're just like,
or you find out that other band got that tour that you really wanted, and there's those kind of moments that's just like, is there someone against us here, you know, like,
without sounding like too, you know, corny about it or what anyone else says, you then just you get to go and play an hour set on a stage like we've done on the tours that we've just done, and it just makes everything, you just forget about it, you know, and it makes it all worth it.
You suddenly find yourself in a cold day in November, and we're just sitting here at a walk tour, and we're like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
And every now and then you just have to step out for a second and just be like, you know what, this is awesome, I should be happy, and I've been trying to chase this dream since I was about 11, so why give up now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose if you still got that passion for it when you do get off stage, I mean, you know you're doing something right, obviously.
Yeah, even if you have a bad show, it's like, it can be the worst show. The reason you can be like livid afterwards and be like, oh man, I wish this. But if you didn't have that passion, then it would obviously be clear that you didn't care. If you came off just like impartial, and then you'd be like, well, we probably probably shouldn't be here.
You started a pledge music campaign about the next album. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that sort of the same thing as before? Like, you're looking for ways in which you can use your music as a tool? Or
definitely.
Is it like...
It's like we said, we released the first record for free. We released the second record on our own label, and for this next record, for us to, you know, kind of ensure that we could carry on, we needed to get involved with the label, and we were lucky enough to get involved with the guys at Hassel, which are a really, really awesome, proper indie rock record label. But we just still wanted to keep a way of keeping our fans involved, because they've always been there, and we have the most, every band says this, I'm sure, but like, we're such an incredible loyal fan base of people that actually kind of shape how our music and how our careers pan out. We definitely didn't want to stop that by just getting involved with the label and then just kind of dropping it all. Still wanted to keep them there, and with this way we were able to have like a pre-order of our record, you know, a year before it even comes out, you know, 6 months before it's recorded, you know, and stuff like that, which is amazing.
And people are willing to buy an album that doesn't have a name, it doesn't even have like an opening track or whatever. Like.
And it's a really cool thing when you're writing and recording, especially when you're recording a record. You're there, you can think like, I've got like nearly 1,000 people who want to hear this record without actually hearing any music. So like, I've got to do a fucking good job.
I was going to say,
but it's a really cool thing. It adds pressure. You can look at it in two ways. You can look at it as like, oh, you know, shit. I've got so many people who were counting on me to do something good. But I think we've thrived off that, and we were kind of like, we've got to do this, and we have 4 weeks to do it. We've got to get this
I kind of feel like
and we did that.
It's less like the word pressure and more kind of just like obligation. It's like, you know,
and also,
you're being given the opportunity here to record another album, so go and enjoy it.
Yeah, you kind of have this like, you know, group of people you can kind of feel behind you, just driving it along. Like, if you ever, because I mean, recording an album could be painful sometimes, you know. It's never like the most straightforward process, but whenever it was kind of like, oh, you just kind of like, there was actually that many people who were just like, come on, mate, get out of that bed, go and sing that vocal line that you can't quite hit because you have a cold, you know. But it's like, so it was really fun, and it's definitely, the pressure was just a great thing to keep us going.
And it's an awesome tool. Like, it's like kind of a new thing. Obviously, it's like a modern way of using the internet and kind of bypassing some of the corporate shit in the music industry.
I've got to wrap it up because the team's
Sure,
run out. But I could talk to you for all day. I mean, it's been great.
Or we
I've
can
really
pick
enjoyed
this
it.
up if it's
Yeah,
we can carry on if you want.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. My last one is just, what's your favourite thing been about Warped Tour this time around? What have you enjoyed it?
Well, to be fair, we've been in this kind of corner of the music industry since we've been tiny little guys just getting into bands, and it's just really cool being a part of it. Like, the food was great.
Seeing the logo everywhere,
yeah,
you know,
it's
like,
just
oh, shit.
it's just awesome.
That's like
it's
an
one of those.
iconic
It's one of those.
thing.
You know, it's not necessarily the thing. We're not on the Warped Tour, but to be able to be a part of this kind of musical community that's stretched now to England is just awesome. So it's just really
There you go.
privilege
great.
to be here.
But it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you very much.
Nice
Cheers.
one, man. Appreciate it.
I can't breathe or whisper, which is why this room's so loud. And I can't make my bed, but I'm made to lie in it alone and make